Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. In this video I will show you how to make this easy dissolve effect in Armory 3D. I really hope you like it. Now let's get started. Here is a to-do list what we are going to make. The first thing is the setup of the scene or level. You can skip if you already have map or a level. Here I opened a new project. Down here in the corner you can see what I am pressing on my mouse and keyboard, so it is easier for the beginners to follow. Before we start we need to save our project. For this we go to File and then to Save. Choose a location you want and create a new folder and call it like you want. I call it Dissolve. To start I delete the 3 objects in the scene. After deleting the objects I add a new plane and then scale it up. Now I add another object. On this object I want the dissolve effect. You can rename it like you want. It doesn't matter for the effect. I am adding a modifier. You don't have to do this. I am doing this because I want that the monkey head looks smooth, and for this I am using a modifier. Drag from the top right corner a new window out and then go to the shader editor. Switch from the object shading to the world shading. Go to Add and search for the sky texture node. Place it where you want and then connect it with the existing node. Instead of a gray background we use a Armory implemented sky texture. We also need a light source. Add a sun lamp and rotate it like you want. If you want you can toggle the sun in the viewport visible or invisible. After the light setup select the sun and go to its settings. Change the sun energy to 1 because 10 is too bright. Here in the Dimensions tab change it to a lower resolution. Drag the Armory player to the top. And then play it to build the scene. Change the camera from scene to viewport so you can fly and look around. So now we have a neat little scene. We are done with the first step. The second step is to create our dissolving material for the monkey head or your object in your game. Now let's get started. I recommend you to drag the window this far out so you can see your object and have a lot of space in the editor. Switch back to the object shading and then create a new material. Give it a name. Make sure that you have your object selected. If you enable this, then the nodes are snapping on the grid, but it is not necessary. Instead of using the principled shader node, we are going to add the Armory3D PBR. We need a noise texture. Add one and place it somewhere left. We also need a math node. Place it next to it and then connect the yellow dot to one of the two gray dots. Connect the math output to the Armory opacity input. Now we are going to add a RGB node and connect it to the second gray matte node dot. Now switch by the math node from add to less than. That means that the black parts in the noise texture are going to be invisible. Now if you switch it to the render view, then you can see some black parts on your object. Like I said, the black parts will be invisible. If I change the value, then you can see that it looks animated. That is exactly what we want. We add another two math nodes. Place one under the first one and the other right next to it. Connect the color output from the noise texture to the first gray dot under the first math node. Change the math node from add to subtract. We have to change the value to -0.03. The value is for the thickness of the glowing edges. Connect the math node output to one of the gray dots. For the second dot, we connect it to the RGB node. Change the math node from add to greater than. To combine it with the edge color, we have to add a RGB mix node. Connect the math output to the FAC input. After that, connect it from the mix RGB output to the Armory PBR color input. Now for the edge color, we add again a RGB node and connect it to the second color input. Here you can choose which color you want for the edges. You can see that it worked, but it looks not glowing or shiny. If you want to apply a texture to your object, then you can simply add an image texture and then connect it to the first color input, or just keep it white. So far this is the basic of node setup for the dissolve effect. But now we want somehow to animate the value. We are going to animate it through logic nodes. We set the edge color to a much brighter glowing color. For this we add a bright contrast node. Connect the RGB output to the color input and the output to the second color input. Change the value to 10 and 50. You can see that it is much brighter but still not glowing. To enable glowing effect, go to the render path and then enable bloom under post process. And here you can see that it glows and it looks very nice. It looks even better if you have a darker environment. Change the value to 50 and 100 to make it brighter. Make sure that you save your project. So we are done with the second step, and now there is the little another step. We have to make a little change in the material editor to control it through logic nodes. We need to add a color ramp and then we have to replace it with the RGB node. Flip the values in the color ramp. We add a value node and then connect it to the color ramp. Set it to 0. We go to the object settings and then down to Armory traits. Add a new logic node trait. Switch from the shader editor to logic editor. Create a new node tree and then rename like you want. Apply your created node tree to the traits. First we add a on keyboard node. Set a keyboard button. Add a timer node. After adding the new node, connect the on keyboard to the start input. Change the value to 0.001. The next step is to add a value parameter. Connect from the out timer node to the red value parameter input. Search for the get material node and add it in your editor. Set the dissolve material that we created. Connect it to the green material input. We go back to our created material. We select the value node and then press N to toggle the sidebar. Under parameter, check the parameter checkbox. You need to remember the name of this value node. Go back to the logic node editor. Write the exact name of the value node in here. Add another timer node and set it under the first one. Connect the on keyboard node to the start timer input. Change here the values. After that, connect from time left to the value parameter. Now if you play the game and press the 1 key, you can see that we have a smooth animation, but also it doesn't stop playing the animation. We will fix that. Add a remove object node and connect it from the second timer node. Set the object you want to delete after the animation, so in this case it is our monkey head. If you play it now, the object is gone after the animation. So this is the very simple dissolve effect. But you can make a color change during the animation. We go back to the shader editor. For the changing, we have to remove the RGB node and instead add a color ramp. Connect it to the contrast node. By the black color, choose the color you want to have first. Here I choose pink. For the second color, click on the arrow and select a color you like. We add again a value node and connect it to the input. Now if the value gets changed, then also the color gets changed. It's important to rename it and remember it. Down here, check the parameter. Now we switch back to the logic node editor. We add a on keyboard node and set it to the same key as above. It really need to be the same, we can fix that later. Add a timer node like before and connect it to the start input. Set repeat on 0 and change the value to 0.01. Add again a value parameter and connect it from out to value parameter input. Write the name from the second value node in here. Add another get material node and set it to the material. We add a timer node and from keyboard connect it to the timer node. Then we change the values. And now if you start your game you can see that very nice color effect. You can also set the strength up, but sometimes it could be too bright. Also a bonus, if you enable motion blur you will get a very nice effect. And now we are at the last step. We want to apply the effect to enemy death, for example. We want to create at the start of the game health points for the enemy. For this we need to create with the init node event a property. If you want more about health, then go to the top right corner. I did a video about a basic health system that interacts with damage. I frame this little tree in and I give it a name. I set again a property called dead. Instead of a number I set a boolean. Either it's true or false. That means that if true then he's dead, so in this case we want to set the animation. I hope you understand it, but so far I didn't figure the easier way out. So now we set our health property and connect it with the keyboard. We want make him damage. For this we also connect a math node to the value. This is how much damage he gets, and also we add a get property and connect it to the second value input. Add to update event to constantly set information. Add a gate node and connect it with the update node. Additionally, add a get property node and connect it to the first value input. Set it to the health. And add for the last adder integer to check the value. Now connect it to the property with the true boolean connected. So if the enemy's health is 0, then the property dead is true, so the animation should play. At the end we add a update node in front of the timer nodes. We also need get property nodes. And now add a branch node. It checks constantly if he's dead until it's true, then the information gets sent to the timer. If I press the button twice, then he is dying, but I forgot to connect the remove object node, so it's playing constantly. If you followed me along this video and it hopefully worked for you, then thank you so much, and I really hope that you have fun with this. There will be a lot haxe videos. I will start a new haxe serie for you guys. I was practicing the haxe language very hard, and I try to make so many videos I can. Goodbye guys.